Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we are diving in. I've got a special package from Bugs for Bugs, and we're going to be talking exactly what's in this box and what problem it's going to help me out with in the garden. So in one sec, we're going to jump outside and show you what's going on in the front garden and exactly what updates I have for you in the front garden transformation process. But first of all, we're going to be unboxing this package from Bugs for Bugs. Now, this company is a wonderful one that has a whole plethora of insects that you can purchase for your garden. They're going to be beneficial in helping you manage any sort of pest populations that might be going out of control, or anything that you might need to control some of the insects and things like this. So I've ordered a couple of things to deal with one of the issues that we've got going on outside, and we're going to dive into exactly what that is. So you can see on here it says live insects. That's really, really funny. Okay. Unfortunately, one of the issues that I'm facing outside at the moment is we have some foul mites. Okay, now these are essentially poultry mites that are coming in and they're causing our chickens some problems. Now, these mites can get out of hand quite quickly, especially if the coop areas aren't kept clean or there is a lot of wet organic matter that is lying around the chicken areas. Now, as you may have seen, I've had them roaming around, and we've just brought in a whole lot of fresh forest mulch. As we've had a ton of rain since I brought in that mulch, all of it is very, very wet, and there's lots of areas for these mites to just hang out and reproduce and wreak havoc. So even though I've been cleaning out the coop, we're still facing a few issues with these mites. Now I'm going to go in a second when we jump out into the garden. I'm going to explain to you the process of how we've treated those mites so far and then what we're going to be jumping into here. But these bugs that I've just ordered from Bugs for Bugs are going to go in there and help control that population and rebalance out everything that's going on in the garden. So let's open it up. Now here we have it. We have some Hypoapsis predatory mites. Let me bring that up to the camera. So you can see in here we've got 20,000 predatory mites, some Hypoapsis or aspis mites. For the control of fungus gnats and shore flies as well. They prey on thrips as well, which is really wonderful. But in here we have 20,000 mites that are going to go in there and start eating away at those soft-bodied foul mites that we have outside. So I'm not going to open this inside. We're going to do that outside because there's plenty in there and we don't want them all over this living room. So we'll put that to the side for now. What they've also given us is a really interesting information sheet on Hypoaspis mites and exactly how we might go about releasing them, how much to release and where, and all the advantages and environmental conditions that you can use as well. So super helpful little information pack that we're going to be running through when we do that. Now also they give you this option to give you this beautiful little poster, which is a Bugs for Bugs biocontrol solutions. So this poster shows you exactly what you can do. They've got some of the common pests that we see in the garden, and then also some bugs that you can bring in to help control those populations. So this is a really useful one that we might pop up somewhere out in the garden, and we can have a little look at what insects might be good for each one. So it's a really cool one to balance out. That was free with the order, so we might keep that one for inside. Now, I also ordered a few other things, some sticky traps. They do plenty of these types of things. These can be used probably more so for our indoor plants because we don't necessarily want too many sticky traps that can stick the bugs that we do like having in the garden. If we've got these outside, they can, get some of the ones that we do want, and unfortunately that's going to be a little bit of collateral damage that we're not after. So there's a couple of different types. You may have seen some of these before. You can get blue ones. These particularly invite thrips over, and then this is one for our aphids or our whiteflies. But primarily I like to use it for flies and mosquitoes and drain flies, things like this that you might find inside, some fungus gnats and all of that type of thing. So got a few of these for indoors. Okay, we've got our poster, which I'm just going to fold up and we're going to use out in the garden very, very soon. But let's go and take these outside and we're going to dive into what's happening in the garden and how we might release these mites. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the garden, the front garden. Now, I'm sure you can see it's a little bit wet again. Unfortunately, this, well, it's clear kind of now, but unfortunately this weather has been ridiculous. So plenty and plenty of rain, plenty of moisture in all of this forest mulch, as you can see. So things are looking a little messy and a little kind of out of control out here, but that's part of gardening, isn't it? That's part of how all of this process works. We're always battling the conditions, and until we find a nice balanced ecosystem out here, we're not going to have any kind of balance at all. We're basically battling until we find that balance. So here we have, as you can see, all of this mulch that is where the chickens have been scratching. They've been coming around. Our fruit trees are doing really well. The rain that's gone through them and some of the feeding that we've been doing is doing wonders. So these fruit trees have been doing awesome. Remember, we've got the banana, we've got Imperial Mandarin or Emperor, I'm not quite sure which one. We're going to find out. Down here, we've got our lemonade plant, which is wonderful. And then right down here, this one here, is our blood orange. Now, compost pile is doing super well. Okay, I've been turning it occasionally. The rain's been getting in there, and underneath there, it's just starting to really turn into nice, rich soil. We want to be waiting until that's at a really good point so that when we spread it on all of this cardboard area that I'm still standing on, when we spread it on this area and we start growing things in there, some cover crops, we want it to really kickstart all of the life, kickstart the microbes, the bacteria, the fungal networks underneath. So we really want it in tip-top condition for when we do that. So that's why I'm being patient and trying to nurture that compost as much as possible so it provides us with some beautiful rows when we get to it. Down here, you can see some comfrey cuttings coming through. They're going to be going into the garden. Everybody loves comfrey. Yeah, we're going to be using some of those. What else? We've got the feijoa that's gone in at the back of there. That's now doing really, really well. And as you can see, the banana has been going absolutely crazy. So I'll overlay a few shots as we've been going with some of those. Now, the passion fruit vines, one down the back there is been taking off. That's the red one. We've got our yellow golden Panama one here, which is doing okay, but it's really just not as good as the standard red passion fruit over the back there. So you can kind of see that it's already starting to make its way along the fence. We're going to turn this into a beautiful passion fruit filled fence. Kind of provides a little bit of separation between the rest of the front yard area and this hopefully seemingly beautiful oasis, but right now it's a whole bunch of just wet cardboard. But what can you do? As I say, we're working on it. It's a work in progress. So it's going to be really cool to see, hey, look, it used to be just this sopping wet cardboard area, and soon going to be a thriving oasis. One thing that you didn't see last time is now that we have this wonderful archway. This is the entrance to the garden. So I'm going to be coming through here, coming into the garden and walking through something that's hopefully going to be growing up and over it. So please give me some suggestions. What can I grow up and over this? I've already got passion fruits on the front, as you saw, so I don't really want to do passion fruits again. I thought of maybe some grapes or something like this, or even just a wonderful flowering plant or vining flowering plant that I could use. Often we find these orange trumpet looking flowers that have this beautiful climbing apparatus. No good with names, so I've forgotten the name of that plant. That flowers in winter here, and that can be a really, really wonderful one that we could grow over. But give me some suggestions. I want an awesome little way to be able to jump in. You can see the flowers down the back there, along with the Sky Lounge perch for all of the birds, and then we've got forest stump at the back there as well. I've also kind of completed the fence line here, and then the mulberry at the back, so there's a few things going on. You can see the chicken coop. So there's a few things going on that we're working on behind there to make sure the chickens are well managed. The entrance to the garden is all good. But for now, we've kind of got this whole space that is just ready to start really putting things down and planting things and bringing some life to this area. Now we're coming into the greenhouse now. We're going to quickly just have a little look around as to what's going on. This is the chili experiment. You may have seen that it's come back nicely, but as we know, it's not in enough soil, okay? It's really not in enough soil, and the soil biology can't keep up. So this fella isn't doing so well. So it's a really good example. But we are making our way to being able to put it into this third experiment pot. Now look at this cover crop. Look how amazing and beautiful it is. It's starting to really fill out. We can see how many of these different species are starting to germinate and bring some life, and all of their individual root exudates that they put out into the soil are attracting different soil microbes. So we're really turning this into some healthy, thriving, living soil. And this is where we're going to plant that mother plant and hopefully bring it back to its former glory and harvest some wonderful chilies. But that's for the chili experiment, so you'll keep up with that. You can see the other two chilies here, okay? They're also not doing so well because of the soil base that we've had and the minimal fertilization that we're putting in there. They're showing a bit of stress with some bugs, but look, this is exactly what it is. When you don't have a thriving ecosystem that's balanced, where you have all of these things in balance, and if you don't have healthy soil, it's going to be releasing those infrared signals up into the sky. And it's going to show all of our passing by bugs and pests that, look, hey, down here is a plant that's not doing so well. And as a garbage cleaner, as part of nature, the insect's role is to come and decompose plants that aren't in their true flow. They're going to come in and they're going to start wiping them out. And if we also don't have that beautiful, strong plant cell walls, then the resilience is just not there. So you can see the things that are doing well, and there's things that aren't doing so well. That's always life in the garden, isn't it? It really is. Another good example of what's doing okay is this eggplant, which is crazy because in this living soil bag here, we've got a wonderful array of compost and all of the cover crop coming through still. We've got this understory of clover and all sorts of different cover crops, which is wonderful. And you can see that this eggplant is still doing really well. It's pushing up through, and this is not the season. It's starting to actually get really quite chilly in the morning. So we can see that there is a little bit of damage because it's possibly not in the right season, obviously, and not in the right temperatures. So there's things that are starting to attack it, but otherwise it's doing so super well for being out of season. So it's a really interesting experiment to show if you have really healthy soil, it actually might mitigate some of those plans of being out of season or not being quite right for the temperatures and all of that type of thing. So that's what's happening in the garden so far, okay? We're kind of in this waiting period where I'm just trying to get that compost pile absolutely ready before we start laying the rows and start laying the pathways with more mulch, okay? Then we're gonna start growing some cover crop through those rows, really grow it up, get some matter in there, some roots that are gonna go down. We're gonna get all of those bacteria and microbes stimulated in the soil. We're going to be adding all of our wonderful chop and drop once that cover crop's grown up, and then we can start planting some things into this garden. So it's a little bit of a slow process, but this is the whole point. We're really focusing on the quality of the soil rather than rushing in and just planting everything straight away and having it all die off on us. So we're going to really work on this area and try and show you exactly how we build beautiful living soil for this whole entire garden space. Also, whilst managing some of the things that are already planted here and some of the bugs that we find ourselves with already. All right, let's talk about these hypoaspis mites that we're bringing in for our poultry mites. So poultry mites can be parasites of chickens. They breed rapidly under warm, humid conditions, which we've seen, unfortunately, an absolute ton of lately. Now, the hypoaspis are robust predatory mites that feed on a wide range of soft-bodied organisms. These are exactly what we need. Okay, so they can be very useful in the battle against poultry mites. We're using animals, we're using these wonderful 20,000 mites to come and do some of the work for us rather than using chemical sprays. Now, we're going to just release them in this cardboard tub. Okay, we can spread some of the insides of this all over the chicken coop. I might just open it up and sort of spread a little bit around in there and kind of leave it, but we'll see how we go. So let's have a look. This one is going to be able to cover, as we're sort of into the spring and autumn category here, we're in the autumn to winter at the moment, so 10 to 20 birds. I've only got 4 chickens and 1 duck, so that's going to be plenty. Now, if we have a look in here, okay, you can see this wonderful mix. They've got some cocoa peat, sawdust, and vermiculite. This is a wonderful little medium for them to start thriving. It's a little bit humid, a little bit wet in there. It's wonderful. You can actually see, look at all these mites here. Let me try and zoom in on these guys. Look at them. So these are our wonderful workers that are going to be doing the job for us. Honestly, it feels so crazy having these things crawl all over you. It's a little bit like an itchy person's nightmare, but these things are going to be wonderful to be in the garden and are going to combat some of the problems that we are having. Okay, so I'm over here in the chicken coop area. You can see the chickens are starting to get a little bit interested as to what's going on. Unfortunately, there's been a ton of rain and everything so far, so it's a little bit damp and mucky over here in the corner, but we're going to try and introduce this nice carton of hypoaspis mites into the chicken coop. All right, now let's have a look inside the bedding. I'm just going to pop this down for the time being. You can see that I did clean this literally only a couple of days ago, so I've been doing a fair bit of cleaning, but I'm going to try and sort of sprinkle a little bit of this everywhere over here. So this is going to give it some areas to go and colonate, okay, and go and spread themselves. But I'm also going to leave the box itself available so that these guys can just go and freely go and replicate in this wonderful area and kind of go and make themselves at home slowly once they've moved out of the medium as well. Okay, so we have spread some of those hypoaspis mites now around the chicken coop area, and hopefully they're going to go in and start doing some of the work of taking back the population of those poultry mites, which even, you know, just being there over by the coop for 30 seconds, a minute, I started to see some of these poultry mites start crawling on my feet, which is really not a nice feeling at all. But it just shows you that populations can become out of hand when we don't have a balanced ecosystem. So that's why these wonderful companies, Bugs for Bugs, can provide you some options to come in and start doing some of this work for you without having to resort to those chemical sprays. Now, one thing to mention is I did do a little bit of a deep clean beforehand. So I cleaned out all of the coop area, got rid of as many of those areas where the mites might be, so to speak, and cleaned them up and disposed of them in other areas because I didn't want them still in this garden area. And what I also did was spray a bit of a neem spray over everything. Okay, so the neem goes and kills some of those soft-bodied organisms. Unfortunately, though, it does tend to kill some of those other ones, like we've seen the hypoaspis. So I had to really wait a good 5 days to a week after that treatment. On that same day, or actually the next morning, I did a treatment of diatomaceous earth. Again, a really wonderful one for killing some of those soft-bodied organisms. But again, it doesn't discriminate, okay? That one can go and get rid of all of our predatory mites as well. So once I had dusted the entire area with that diatomaceous earth, again, I had to wait a good 5 days. Now, we've had some decent rain, so I have had it watered in and dispersed of quite well. So now it was time for hypoaspis fight back. So guys, I'm going to let you know how it goes, but this is a really good way of showing you how you can rebalance populations without having to go in with too much of a chemical problem. So yes, I did have a problem, but hopefully it's going to be sorted. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you ever had any problems with any of these poultry mites, and what did you do? I got a wonderful suggestion from Michael, who was on the recent podcast, the Gardener's Lodge. He said to use something like wormwood, and you can put little branches of that inside your chicken coop, and it tends to keep it free of some of these pests. So a couple of really good suggestions. If you've got another one, throw it into the comments below. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate your support. Welcome along to the journey, and we'll see you again very soon on the next video. Take care.